Hi, my name is Rick Howell. I'm a TV guy, and this show is called Talk Back to Television. It's about the business of television, how we make the programs, how we distribute the programs, and mostly how we pay for the programs. Because if we can't pay for the shows, there's nothing to watch. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Talk Back to Television. I'm Rick Howell, and I'm here with Albert Thompson from, get this right, Walton Isaacson.
There we go.
Isaacson. Albert, how are you?
I'm doing well. And look, I appreciate you getting the name right. Everybody associates Aaron Walton with that author who has the ER on the end of his name. So I appreciate the emphasis. You did him proud on that one.
Well, I do want to say I tried hard to do this, but I had to make sure that I was wearing a louder shirt than you.
And you did it too.
I think I nailed that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
All right, listen. We want to talk about how advertising is impacted by where it's seen, what I'm doing when I watch it, the context of it, the environment of it. Not that this is a pushback against programmatic, but in reality, it's a pushback against programmatic because I think it makes a difference where you see the ad. Where do you come out on that?
I'm 100% with alignment. You know, human nature still makes decisioning the way it always makes decisioning, and that is in the context of the state of mind of where you are.
Yep.
It's very simple that we as living beings in high-functioning computing machines make decisions based on where we are, whom we are with, those essentially those moments. And that has everything to do with our willingness to receive. And look, the messaging has to do with willingness to receive a message from our spouse all the way to advertising messaging. This idea that are we consuming something or exposed to something in a collectivism, in an environment or group where that message aligns with what the group is doing, or is it out of context and out of bounds and I'm not willing to process that? The human being, the human mind is a relatively lazy machine, as they say. It gets tired very quickly. So it has the inability to really stratify itself and think about a number of things simultaneously. It really needs to be able to chunk and focus, and it's always looking to make very easy repeat decisions.
Yep.
You have advertising inbound at the improper context. The human mind just is not willing to give it the attention and energy to sort of break it down. It's a miss. That's why there's so much studies that have to be done on attention metrics now, because they realize that we have no more capacity to pay attention to one single thing in this era than we did 1,000 years ago. And they realize that a lot of the advertising that's been running was never being processed in the first place. So the whole idea of attention metrics is really taking a 40, 50-year step back and say, okay, there's probably been waste since day one. When marketers say that 50% of my advertising has been waste, yeah, 50% because no one's paying attention because you're out of context of even garnering the attention. I mean, this is basic stuff. And that's why I think it's coming full circle. I think the industry just hasn't admitted its folly of what it's been doing over the past few years.
Well, it's gotten worse also because sometimes I feel when I'm watching TV and the ads hit me that I've stuck my head in a hornet's nest. You know, all this crap. Okay, so let's assume that you have a brand who was identified a certain environment, a certain program, a certain network, a certain kind of a story where they want their ad to appear, but all of a sudden their ad appears right in the second break, right after somebody just got shot. How do you avoid that? Or can you?
I think you can. I mean, look, I think when you think about, and some of that starts with brand safety, but I'm going to actually go back to this notion of brand mentality.
Yep.
Because the mentality you have around your brand is everything. So if you look at the basis of brand mentality, it's this idea of decisioning. How do we want to show up? And as some people like to say, show up and show out. And that has everything to do with everything. And look, that has to do with an intimate understanding of where your consumer, what are the rules of engagement are really speaking to them, connecting with them, getting to buy from you, and what's out of bounds? What are the environments that make sense? What are the ones that don't? What's the context for which they can receive the message, the time of day, the trailing story arm, as you say, hey, we don't want to appear after some news story about violent shooting in the city. And this is why a lot of people turned off news during COVID, because they're like, look, it's all a lightning rod. We can't mess with it. We're just trying to sell toilet paper. But I think the brand mentality spectrum really starts with who are you from an emotional DNA perspective. Look, there are certain brands that have more teeth to be able to deal with the unruly nature of the internet and what could show up around content than other ones that are a lot more conservative. I think what you have is that people aren't thinking about this stuff up front to pre-program everything. And brand mentality is really, as you think about it, is the conversation even for brand safety. Because you have to start with, well, who are we? Are we the company people that founded us? Are we the people who run it now? Or are we trying to be what the consumer wants us to be?
Right.
And those could be very different notions, in particular, how and where and when you show up. And I think what most brands need to do is take a step back, get grounded, and understand what are the rules of engagement of this consumer and this product to land us with the greatest level of favorability, to protect our integrity, to not have to get into a corporate social responsibility firestorm because we showed up on the wrong side of history. And I think that's what you see that's missing in the thinking. Like these are very complex environment. Every environment is now omnichannel. Gaming is omnichannel. CTV video is omnichannel. Paid social is omnichannel. I mean, every single faction of digital has its own omnichannel strategy. So there's a lot of thought that needs to go into the where and why and how you show up. And you have to get into this idea of supply path optimization. Look where the consumer is when you're pulling them off domains and understand is that within that mix. What you have is a lot of people turn on the machine and the machine will turn it off or make all the corrections error. And it's like, no, this is still a human endeavor. Products are still largely made by people or designed by people, even if machines supported, bought by people. And people act like it's machines making products, selling to machines that are buying products. And the thing couldn't be further from the truth. And that's really where we have to come back and level set in terms of how we go forward and thinking about showing up in market.
Got it. Well, guess what? We've just gone through about 10 minutes. All right. Everybody who's watching this wants to contact you. I'm going to put a link to your LinkedIn on this show. I assume that if people want to learn more about Walton Isaacson, but very specifically about your perspective, they can contact you, right?
Absolutely. I'm always open to talk. Look, my biggest thing is elevating the knowledge in the space so people stop messing up the sandbox you and I are playing.
There you go, buddy. All right. Well, listen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody on next week's episode of Talk Back to Television. Bye-bye.